T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected.
Trying to coddle him for. Let the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
Yeah, so him being arrested isn't really like the shocker. It's him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just,
The streets got only one story right now. The nightmare swallowing the Harris family. And this time, it's not about flashy chains or viral lives on Instagram. It's about survival inside the coldest walls imaginable. King Harris, son of rap icons T.I. and Tiny, is fighting for his life in intensive care after a brutal prison ambush that's gripped the world. The details leaking out don't sound like ordinary prison trouble, they read. Like a gangland thriller ripped straight from a movie. Sources say King was jumped so violently in his block that officers had to drag his battered body away, while chaos consumed the entire tier.
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
His face swollen, body limp, and the prison torn apart in a riot that left several inmates bloodied. This wasn't just some random scuffle. Whispers point to a calculated setup, one with motives darker than most can imagine. Inside Georgia's prison walls, the word is chilling. This wasn't about petty drama or testing toughness. It was a carefully planned strike meant to break him. Inmates are rumored to have plotted it weeks earlier, determined to punish him for flaunting wealth and privilege. Others say it was a vicious reminder that once you're behind bars, your last name and Instagram clout mean nothing. Respect is the only currency, and weakness makes you prey. A former inmate put it bluntly, if you ain't loyal, you don't last. And now King is learning that truth in the harshest way possible. The moment news hit the internet, it spread like wildfire. Twitter, Chikatoki, Instagram, every platform lit up. Some fans prayed for his recovery, while critics mocked him, saying, King finally met the real world and couldn't survive it.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this, a lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
That online storm only piled more pressure on the Harris household, where insiders say panic has completely taken over. T.I. reportedly hasn't closed his eyes since the attack, working phones, non-stop calling lawyers, politicians, and anyone with influence inside Georgia's prison system. One Atlanta source even claimed he's ready to cut checks, sign NDAs, or make promises anything to get King out alive before the next strike. Meanwhile, Tiny is said to be running her own war room, pulling in publicists, media allies, and attorneys. But even their famously solid front is starting to fracture. Behind closed doors, whispers say their arguments are explosive, each parent pointing fingers over how their son ended up in this nightmare.
I wouldn't have been able to do that if it wasn't for Family Hustle. Right. That does come with some, it's some adversity. It's some adversity to come with that. People get in your bed.
Yeah.
Friends close to the couple aren't even sure if they're battling for King's survival or just battling each other. Either way, their son's life hangs in the balance as the foundation of their marriage begins to crack. The once uncheckable Harris dynasty looks like it's coming apart under pressure. And this time, the stakes aren't TV ratings or family pride, it's life and death. What makes it murkier are the rumors spreading fast. Some say King got caught up in a contraband deal gone wrong, either refusing to play ball or trying to outsmart the wrong crew. In prison, loyalty is currency, and a broken promise can get you marked. Sources tied to the investigation even claim he was lured into a corner where 3 men ambushed him right when the surveillance cameras mysteriously went dark. Officials insist there was no glitch, but few believe that. As one of T.I.'s former managers put it bluntly, it's Georgia. Cameras stop working when they need to stop. Now, while King's condition remains shaky, the family's tensions are boiling over, and fans haven't forgotten how unstable things already looked months back, like that infamous Falcons game where T.I. put his son in a headlock during a heated argument broadcast live.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but it ain't.
The world remembers T.I. shouting, "You're embarrassing yourself and your family," as security rushed in and Tiny tried to calm things down. Back then, people thought King had already hit rock bottom, but this brutal ambush proves things can sink far lower. Now, with King clinging to life in a hospital bed and the Harris family's private chaos spilling across the internet. That Falcons game looks like nothing more than a rehearsal for a darker chapter. To make it worse, insiders say King wasn't just targeted for his own actions, he was mocked endlessly over his parents' scandals, especially the still whispered trafficking allegations tied to T.I. and Tiny. Though the family denied everything, the rumors never died, and inside prison that gossip became a weapon. King didn't help himself either, still flexing for social media from behind bars, calling out rivals and hyping himself up as Atlanta's next big name.
And you can, you know what I'm saying, kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion.
But the older inmates weren't buying the act. One former prisoner put it bluntly, "We don't care who your daddy is. In here, if you don't pay up or you run your mouth, you get dealt with. That's the rule." And now, King is bleeding for that lesson. Meanwhile, T.I. is pulling every string left in his playbook. Sources say he's even threatened to go public about brutal prison conditions, while quietly feeding friendly outlets stories that shift blame from King onto a broken system. It's the classic celebrity crisis move, but with time running out and threats still circling. The question is chilling. Is it already too late to save him? Or is this exactly what happens when someone grows up feeling untouchable only for reality to hit back harder than anyone imagined? The whispers spreading now are darker by the hour. This wasn't just a fight. Word inside is that King crossed the wrong men in a way that leaves no forgiveness. Insiders hint at a contraband deal gone sideways. Either he backed out or tried a slick play against the wrong crew. And in a world where survival is everything, betrayal is the same as signing your own death warrant. One chilling rumor keeps echoing through those prison halls.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, you know, I kind of told him, you know, what was wrong about it.
Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
His name supposedly appeared in a contraband ledger tied to a broken promise and in prison. Broken promises get paid back in blood, but it doesn't stop there. People are saying King's last name itself has become a curse inside those walls. The Harris family has always drawn attention, but this time the spotlight is toxic. Those old trafficking accusations against T.I. and Tiny never truly vanished, and King couldn't outrun their shadow. Other inmates mocked him, calling him soft, sneering that his parents' scandals had now painted a target on him. Add to that his loud, flashy behavior, acting like the star of the yard, and resentment, stacked like dynamite waiting to explode. For some older prisoners, it wasn't even personal. It was symbolic. One officer admitted off the record that high-profile inmates like King turn into pawns in bigger power games. Taking down a celebrity sends a message. As one Georgia ex-inmate said, "You knock out the famous one, you prove dominance to everyone else." And that may be exactly what went down. Meanwhile, T.I. and Tiny's relationship is straining like never before. Behind the scenes, their fights are fierce. Tiny blaming a corrupt system, while T.I. insists only discipline, influence, and pressure will save their son. She wants to paint King as a victim. He's doubling down on politics and back-channel calls. The divide isn't just threatening their marriage, it's putting the whole Harris brand under fire. One insider put it plainly: "This is worse than the lawsuits, worse than the TV fallout, worse than anything they've faced. The more they scramble, the messier it looks. And the mess is everywhere." Family, friends argue whether speaking out will help or only make King a bigger target. Social media is already ablaze, old lawsuits, scandals, and this prison ambush merging into one ugly narrative. Fans haven't forgotten King's own antics, either flaunting stacks of cash, taunting rivals, and crowning himself Atlanta's next wild card. On the streets, that was entertainment. But inside, it painted him as a clown and a liability. Inmates laughed, saying he grew up in mansions with cameras and security, not in the trenches. To them, he wasn't feared, he was a spectacle. And in prison, that's dangerous. His wealth, his privilege, his fame, all of it, turned into a glowing target. To some, he was insulting. To others, he was useful. Either way, his celebrity became his downfall. And now, as chaos consumes the Harris empire, even the other kids in the family are being dragged into the fire-rolled paternity rumors, buried disputes, and family drama surfacing again. The line between private heartbreak and public spectacle has vanished. Everything is spilling out, and the Harris family has lost control of the story. The same spotlight that once built their empire is now ripping it apart, and the emotional toll is brutal. This isn't about canceled TV shows, viral meltdowns, or messy lawsuits anymore. This is about life, death, and the weight of a family name. Every headline makes the fire burn hotter. Every whispered betrayal adds fuel. Every statement feels like a gamble that could backfire. The Harris brand was built on attention, but now that attention feels toxic, like poison dripping into an open wound. The harsh truth? The justice system doesn't bend for celebrities. It doesn't care how many hits T.I. had or how many seasons their family starred on TV, behind bars. Fame doesn't protect you. It exposes you. It turns you into a pawn, a bargaining chip, a walking headline. For King Harris, his last name has gone from privilege to liability. That prison ambush wasn't just a beating. It feels like the opening move in a far darker game. People are now asking, is King paying the price of arrogance? Or is he caught in a deeper conspiracy, a dirty deal gone bad? Enemies waiting in the shadows? And a system that never gave him a chance? As his parents scramble to protect both their son and their legacy, the haunting question remains. Is King Harris simply another casualty of fame colliding with reality? Or is he the first domino in a chain reaction that could blow open secrets the family buried long ago? From the second king walked into that prison yard, the countdown began. He wasn't attacked just for who he is. He was attacked for everything he represents. The Harris legacy, the scandals, the flashy lifestyle, the reality TV baggage. All of it turned him into a lightning rod for resentment. Even correctional officers admitted off the record that men like King don't just enter prison, they enter a storm. The moment he stepped through those gates, he became a symbol, a prize, and a target. When the cameras mysteriously went dark during his ambush, it felt less like a random brawl and more like a carefully timed trap. King was left battered, unconscious, and fighting for his life. But the fists weren't the only weapons. The psychological warfare cut just as deep. Inmates warned him to stop flexing, to drop the celebrity act, to respect the code. He didn't. His attempts to stand on business only made him look weaker to hardened men who live by blood-written rules. Respect isn't bought, it's earned. One ex-inmate said and inside. That's always been the law. Now the fallout is rattling the Harris empire to its core. Lawyers are working overtime, pushing sympathetic narratives, feeding friendly media outlets spin. Meanwhile, whispers say T.I. is preparing to drop bombshells about corruption inside Georgia's prisons, threatening to burn the system down if his son isn't protected. Others say Tiny is quietly pleading with allies to paint King as a victim of a cruel system, not just a reckless kid playing gangster. But whichever narrative they push, one reality won't change. The world is watching in. Every headline makes the Harris family look weaker. To make matters worse, the rest of their children are now being dragged into the chaos. Old whispers of family feuds, messy paternity rumors, and buried scandals are resurfacing. Social feeds are buzzing, connecting dots between the Harris clan's past controversies and this fresh crisis. What should have stayed a private nightmare has exploded into a public circus, tearing the family apart piece by piece. Those closest to them say that emotional toll is heavier than anything they've endured before. Worse than the lawsuits, worse than canceled shows, even worse than that viral Falcons game because this isn't entertainment anymore. This is legacy, survival, and a family name hanging in the balance. Pulling back King's downfall exposes a harsh truth. Celebrity privilege means nothing behind bars. Fame doesn't shield you, it spotlights you. Money doesn't guarantee protection, it paints you as prey. Connections don't bend a system ruled by silent codes and ruthless hierarchies. King's high-profile status wasn't armored, was the very blade used against him. He became the prize, the pawn, the bargaining chip, and his blood on that prison floor was the message rivals wanted. Broadcast to the world. That's what makes this bigger than one ambush. This isn't just about King lying in a hospital bed, it's about what comes next. Every insider says this attack feels like the beginning, not the end. If King survives, can he endure the next setup, waiting in the shadows? Will T.I.'s political connections save him or spark even more enemies who resent his privilege? Will Tiny's softer approach help or just make him look weaker in a world built on dominance? These questions hang over the Harris family like storm clouds ready to break. Some call it karma, others call it conspiracy. A few whisper it's destiny, the unmasking of a dynasty built on drama, wealth, and reputation. Whatever the truth, one fact is undeniable. King Harris has become the face of a brutal reality check. In prison, there are no cameras to cut the scene, no Instagram filters, no bodyguards waiting in the wings. It's raw survival, and every wrong move comes with a price. So here we are, watching almost in slow motion as the Harris legacy faces its hardest test yet. This attack on King isn't just shaking his family, it's shaking the entire culture, forcing fans, critics, and insiders alike to ask, is this the collapse of a dynasty? Or at the start of a redemption story no one saw coming? Now it's your turn, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you see King as a victim of circumstance, or the architect of his own downfall? Could this ambush be the opening chapter of something darker, secrets waiting to surface that could shatter the Harris Empire for good? Let us know what you think, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next chapter in this wild saga.